Pete Little and Cheryl and Darcy with yet another Saturday morning here on the coast. Our new 2-hour format that we call At Home with the Gardening Gang. Lots of activities, including gardening, what's on around the markets on the Central Coast. We check out a couple of personalities as well and have a bundle of fun here on this Saturday morning. And good morning to Cheryl, looking gorgeous today.
I'm trying to look a bit sunny, Pete, because it's a bit cloudy. And good morning to you.
Well, it's going to be sunny later on today, so I look forward to getting a bit of a, few rays of golden sun. Now, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Are you desperate for a dandelion or hungry for a hydrangea?
Yes, then we can talk today about edible flowers, Pete. That's what
we're talking about.
Edible flowers.
Those flowers you actually can eat and sustain yourself with. That's the topic of conversation today. Whether it's can you eat dandelions?
Yes, you can eat dandelions, and you can eat lots of different flowers, Pete, and also grow them yourself on the coast. So we'll be talking about which flowers you can eat. Some you can't, they're poisonous. So please don't run out there this morning and start sprinkling any old flower on your Wheaties.
I doubt if they will.
I don't want that to happen.
Our listeners are pretty smart people,
They are. Our listeners are very smart. But we'll tell you exactly which ones are delicious, what they taste like, how you can grow them, which ones you should avoid, as well as a few other gardening tips and the gardening news and events around the coast as well this morning.
Well, we know that you can eat those dandelions, but can you eat a hydrangea? We'll find out. We're talking about thing called edible flowers. We've maintained that dandelions can be consumed. Sherilyn has done her research on that one. What about those hydrangeas? Can we chomp on a hydrangea?
Yeah, look, you can. It's one of those everything in moderation type flowers. Technically, you can eat hydrangeas in very small quantities. They do have a type of cyanide in them, or they break down to a cyanide.
Oh, that turns me off.
Yeah, straight away.
Cyanide.
But you would really have to eat like a whole bowl of them. So a couple dusted with a bit of sugar and stuck on a cake, that's okay.
This is the craziest topic you've chosen.
Is it edible?
For our Saturday morning.
Do you know it's not so crazy, Pete? They're becoming very popular, and they've been very popular throughout history, but there's a resurgence at the moment of edible flower eating.
Is that
edible
right?
flower eating, yes. Yes,
edible
there is.
Flower consumption.
That's
if I go down to Woolies to check out the vegetables and the fruits and things, I don't see too many flowers there all bunched up ready for sale to someone you love.
No, and the reason that you don't see them in bigger places like that is that they don't last very long. The same as, if you pick... Being a florist, I know this as well. If you pick flowers, you really need the whole parts of the flower and the stem and all that so it can suck up water and stay alive. Edible flowers, we're actually just consuming the petals. That's what we're doing. So once you take those petals off, they're still okay when they go a bit brown and that, but they don't look very nice. So you'll mostly see them in specialty stores.
Okay, the Edible Flower Show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Now, the Romans, were they involved in this one as well?
Oh, you were hoping that the Romans...
In the early days of the civilization?
Look, yes, they had a little bit to do with it. The consumption of flowers, we're not too sure exactly when it started, but we're pretty sure it probably always happened. People ate flowers, and they would notice different animals and insects and bugs eating them and think, that looks like a good idea. Let's give it a go. So that's what we think. But also flowers have been used as food and medicine, noted in ancient Chinese and Indian cultures, and references have been found throughout the Americas, so all of them as well. Sunflowers, interesting enough, are from North America, and the entire plant is actually used by them. So they eat the seeds, they make oils out of it, they eat the petals in their baking and things like that. Lots of flowers there. We've also see references in the Bible. Many times throughout the Bible there's references to edible flowers. You look so surprised.
Well, I'm looking at that passage. I'm just going through my personal Bible here. Now, what? No, okay.
No, you won't. Okay, and the ancient Greeks did, and also, of course, the ancient Romans. Now, the ancient Romans had a great affection for roses. They were obsessed with them. They actually have a fantastic festival. Can't remember exactly what time of the year it is. Obviously, when roses are blooming, it's beautiful. Rosalia.
It wasn't called the Floriade, was it?
No, not the Floriade. It's the Rosalia. It's something along those lines. And they shower the streets with rose petals, and it said that it was up to your knees or knees or hips in rose petals. But they used roses to, along with carnations, actually, as a flavouring and a colouring agent for food. They were really into that. And the colour that we have of butter and our cheeses these days, now most butters and cheeses are actually quite pale in colour. And if you travel throughout the world, particularly in Europe and particularly in Americas as well, I freaked out when on travels. I don't know about yourself.
They're very yellow, aren't they?
Very yellow. Yeah, you see things very, very yellow, very intense.
Yeah.
And they use the flower calendula, which we use as a healing plant as well. They use that to colour their butters and cheeses to be bright yellow, almost orange. So they were really into all that sort of thing. And then through the years, it's gone up and down. The 1970s and the 60s, it was quite big. And I'm sure most of us have seen or heard of zucchini flowers, stuffed with things.
Oh, of course.
Yes, there you go.
Tried
There's a
those.
popular
They're not
one.
too bad.
Yeah, they're lovely, aren't
Yeah,
they? Yes.
I think are they baked? I'm trying to think now of the dish.
Fried, usually fried.
Fried,
And then I
that's
tell
right,
you what, have you had some cauliflower recently, Pete? Or broccoli?
There's a flower.
They are a flower. The hint's in the name. They are actually the flowering parts of the plant. So you're eating edible flowers without even knowing it.
Coast FM 963. This is At Home with the Gardening Gang, our new 2-hour format now on a Saturday morning on the Central Coast with Pete Little and Sherilyn Darcy, the master or the mistress of gardens here on the coast. She is a swampy. Now, if you don't know what a swampy is, this is the garden, the community garden that's recently been, shall we say, opened at Tacoma, South Tacoma. And it's looking magnificent. I'm told that lots of volunteers are coming on every day as well as the weekend to really make this thing a showpiece.
Yes, it is absolutely. It's looking fantastic. I've just found a jacaranda for us as well, which has been fantastic. A jacaranda tree. It's sitting at my house at the moment, ready to be put into the swamp, not into the swamp, but into the community garden there at the front, because it's very barren. We're putting, of course, fruit and vegetables in and things like that, but we've also got a beautiful training space and education space as well, and a building coming soon as well that's been donated.
Fabulous.
So very excited about that. We're working with Youth Connections, and they're installing it and building it and renovating it with us as well. So it's very much a community connecting place. So there's lots of different groups that we're working with.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we did a little outside broadcast promotion to invite people to donate tools and the bits and pieces required for your volunteers. Are they still coming in?
They're still coming in. Yeah, they are. And I'd like to give a great big hug, a virtual hug to everybody, because they're being used. It's fantastic out there. So if you jump online as well, swampcentralcoast.com.au, you can have a look at the tools getting used, and you can have a look at what's going on, because we're still looking for volunteers and people that are interested as well in sharing what they do at other community groups as well. So,
and if you're interested in sharing your thoughts on edible flowers today, please give us a buzz here at the radio station and we'll put you on the air. It's 43220072.
Or you can email us at gardeningscentralcoast@gmail.com.
We'll take your calls. In fact, we'll take your calls any time through the show this morning. So 43220072. We're talking about edible flowers today. Just a couple of points about those. How do we know which ones of those edible flowers are safe, mate? Is there a sign on them?
Is there a sign?
A certain colour?
No. Well, look, you need to identify what they are. That's the whole thing. So no just tromping through the bush or picking flowers hanging off someone's garden and thinking, I'll just have a bit of a taste here, because there are highly toxic, poisonous ones. Let's start with good old oleander.
Ugh.
Don't want to be eating those. So you really, exactly, poisonous, horrible. So you really need to be able to identify your flowers that you're going to eat. The best way is to, you can purchase them. I have found a little place that's up at Dugong, up past Newcastle, called 4 Acre Farm. And they are I've just seen they're at a lot of our markets as well. So have a look for them. I'm going to contact them this week and have a little chat with them. And they do supply edible flowers. So there's a good sort of semi-local supplier.
Yeah.
Growing them yourself is probably the best way. So we'll go through a few of them you can grow yourself, because if you grow them yourself, you're going to know where they've come from. You'll know that's the species and they're okay to eat. And also you will grow them, hopefully. No, you must grow them organically. You don't want to spray them with pesticides and then chuck them in your gin and tonic. Wouldn't be.
Really?
No, I don't think so. It might give you the boost that you don't want. No, but you know what I like, Pete, is violets, little violets in your and I thought I was so clever until my daughter told me, Mum, that they actually make gin with violets already in there, and I was like, well, that's right. All you young hipsters all come up with these things.
Oh, and yes, the many flavours of the gins they produce today. It's magnificent.
I've seen some really weird ones. I went and bought a bottle of gin last night, and I just saw some outrageous flavours. I was like, yeah, no. It sounded like I was waiting for fairy floss gin or something, but plain old gin, people, and you can just put a rose petal or two in there. Lovely, beautiful.
Well, on that very point, I'm not going to sort of brag about my knowledge of gin, apart from the fact I enjoy having a gin and tonic. But juniper used to be the primary taste in particularly London Dry.
That's
but
right.
Boy, they're using every darn thing these days, aren't they?
Oh, they are. We've got a gin distillery. We've changed the topic of the show, haven't we? But we've got a gin distillery at Erina. I haven't been there yet, but everyone tells me about it. But it's where the old perfumed gardens was.
Yep.
And they've taken over the gardens now, and they actually use things that are in the gardens, I'm told, in their gins and their sorbets, and I'm sure they'd have edible flowers. We need to go there.
I'm most surprised you haven't been there. You love gin and you like flowers.
I know. It's like a double whammy, isn't it? Maybe the next Coast FM lunch, we should all go up there and have our lunch. But in all seriousness, you need to be careful about what flowers that you eat. And also when you're preparing them, you don't eat the whole flower in most cases. You need to take off all the parts of them. So the sepals, the pistils, they're called, all the little bits and pieces. You don't need to know the names of them, but you just want the petals. The other thing is that the ends of the petals that sort of insert into the stem as well, particularly with, say, roses, they'll be a white colour and they are really bitter usually, so you don't want those. So you need to take those off as well. So you need to chuck them out. You don't want them. Put them in the compost and eat the rest of them. And, so we'll just go through maybe later on, if you want, which ones we can eat.
I don't know if that's going to be as fascinating as just talking to you about the fact that you like gin and tonic. I mean, that's...
It's refreshing. Do you know what? I think gin and tonic's the gardener's drink. That's what I always think, because it's like you're out there, it's a sweaty day. I'm sure our listeners would agree, and it's like there's nothing like a nice, refreshing splash of gin in it.
Today's topic with Sherilyn, and she's very knowledgeable about this, is edible flowers. Now, let me just suggest to you that we have kids often come to our place, like our grandkids and the like. Should they be foraging for edible flowers by themselves?
No.
Or is it risky?
It's risky. It's tricky. Well, it's tricky, risky. Yeah, they need to be supervised. It's all about, it always comes back down to identification. You need to make sure. So many flowers look like other flowers. Look, begonias, I'm sure our gardeners out there will go, begonias don't look anything like oleanders, but to a child who's about 6, it's a pink flower. Begonias are edible. Oleanders, no, okay? And they do look entirely different, but we've got ones that look even closer together, so they could be mistaken. And it's incredibly important that they're supervised, that they don't eat anything unless it's under your supervision. My suggestion would be to get them to grow them. The easiest little chamomile flowers. Of course, with the different daisy-type flowers, you've got to watch out for allergies, people who have pollen allergies, because they're heavy on pollen.
Worth it?
It is worth it. It is absolutely worth it. It's absolutely worth it, Pete. But but the thing is, it's all about that identification. So growing things like, little violets and pansies, they're so cute. They're perfect to encourage kids to grow. And roses as well. They're really easy ones. And most people have a couple of roses in their garden. So starting with those, and also it's just the education of your children and having them aware of that.
Well, I'm sure there's a bitterness in there that kids will go, ugh, if they don't agree with
Not
them
always, not always, Pete.
Really?
No, not always, not always.
Mother Nature hasn't built in that for safety.
Not always. Sometimes the bitterness, some of these flowers that are edible are bitter. That's the thing as well. So that's just part of their unique flavours, and they taste beautiful when combined with different things as well.
Like gin.
Yes, like gin, and sometimes chocolate.
Oh, well. And you're getting all my weak points this morning.
And sometimes baked breads. There you go. A nice fresh baked loaf with sunflower petals in it. Yum.
Okay.
Yum.
Well, after our program today, you'll shout. There's Fox here at Coast FM 963. Just Fox and a single bed. It's a single bed. 17 minutes before 9 o'clock. Pete Little and Cheryl and Darcy at home with the gardening gang today. We're talking about edible flowers. Had a call from John. John called in from Baddo Bay this morning and said, well, you know, you've been talking about these wonderful flowers. Give us an idea of what I can grow at home here on the coast. It's very important.
It is very important.
Very important.
Something that you can grow on the coast. There's quite a few things, but I'll give you a little selection. So the first one's dahlias. Now, they're all out at the moment. So if you've been growing those in your garden and you've used organic methods as well, you can eat those. They're lovely. They have a bit of a sort of spicy, appley, carroty kind of flavour too, Pete. So goes good with... They're called dahlias.
I've got some here. Look.
Dahlia. Have you got one?
I've got a bag of them.
Oh, look at it. No, don't. Yeah,
now, let me try this out.
I've never seen them on donuts.
Oh.
Right. So they're quite tasty. They are. They actually have, as I said, a spicy. I think they've got a spicy apple taste. Some people say a carroty type of taste. They do really well in salad. So you can definitely grow those. And you know what else they're good in? Gin.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. So dahlia is a good one. Lavender grows really well. It's a Mediterranean plant, so that does well. Not everyone likes lavender flavour in things. I particularly like it in dark chocolate or hot dark chocolate drinks. It also goes well with wines as well, and I'm smiling because it does go well with spirits. It does have that soapy, perfumey flavour, so it's an acquired taste, okay? Just a little tip for gardeners out there, because it's one of the questions we get at the gardening gang all the time, is that people's lavender keeps dying all the time. You're probably overwatering it, or you've got it in a soggy position. Just remember, it likes full sun and it needs lots of drainage and light feeding. Treat it mean, keep it keen. Nasturtiums, they are so easy to grow, and they have a really peppery sort of zingy flavour. They are delightful in egg dishes, and they look really pretty in wraps as well. So they're a great one for kids. They're easy to grow. Lots of flowers, look pretty, and kids love making sandwiches and wraps. And the taste, because it has that peppery flavour, it's not really something that they dislike. They like that. Now, the oldies amongst us, or those of us who've got grandparents who like making these things, what about Rosella? What about Rosella jam? Remember the old Rosella jam?
The Rosella parrot.
No, not the parrot.
The parrot, isn't it?
Not the parrot. The flower.
You're trying to tell me Rosella's a flower.
You know, some people call it the Rosella, some people call it the Roselle. Stop it. It's a type of native hibiscus. Yeah, I'm just imagining you stuffing a Rosella in a glass of gin. I'm just I don't know why I had that picture.
Help me out here. Now, have I got this wrong? Is a Rosella a flower?
It is a flower as well. Some people call it Roselle. Some people call it Roselli or Roselle. And so I knew it as Rosella jam. Stop it. It's native hibiscus.
I don't believe you.
It's true. I can't believe you've never heard of it. Anyway, we used to make it. You used to have the old jam, and it's now it's very popular with the millenniums. How do you say that word? Millenniums.
Yeah.
Millenniums. They love that wild hibiscus in syrup. They throw it in their champagne cocktails, and the little flower opens up inside the glass. Well, look, the little red calyx of the flower, which is actually, it comes up before. I'm just laughing because I'm just looking at you, drinking your coffee, imagining a Rosella parrot coming out of it. Okay, so the little. That's so easy to grow because it's an Australian native, and that they're just brilliant. Roses, I mentioned before, zucchinis. You're going to have zucchini flowers. Then now, sacrifice some of those and stuff those with nice cheesy mixtures and throw them in the oven or the deep fryer. Look, there's a whole list in this week's Central Coast newspaper in my column Down in the Garden with Cheryl and Darcy. So it's a page of it. It's all about edible flowers. That's out now, and on Wednesday in the Central Coast Chronicle as well. I've got more tips and lots of different flowers. They're botanical names, so you make sure you don't use, parrots in your drinks. Right. That's sorry, Pete.
Okay, well, you discover all that in that fascinating article.
Yeah, edible flowers.
This week.
In Central Coast newspaper.
A Rosella is a parrot.
It is a parrot, Pete, but it's also a flower.
Oh, that clarifies it.
Oh, goodness
I thought I was on the wrong track. Okay.
No, this is the gardening. Well, we'll be talking about birds another time. We won't be eating.
With the Gardening Gang. You learn something. Hey, this is At Home with the Gardening Gang. Pete Little and Cheryl and Darcy, being sponsored by Alan Graham's Caravans, who are open today. And also Doormaster Security Doors and Windows at Berkeley Vale. They're back at work on Monday for your next security door inquiry. Yes. A little off-air coughing there that's just come upon me. Sherilyn.
Yes.
Now we're going to go and have a look at the kind of things that are around the coast to do in the garden. It's grapevine time.
It's grapevine. What's happening on the grapevine? So don't forget to go and have a look at your local community gardens, because most are reopening now. They're looking for volunteers. And a really good resource I've mentioned a few times is the Central Coast Community Garden Network. That's what it's called. Get a pen. I'll also link it on our Facebook page, Pete. So that's the Gardening Gang on Facebook. Have a look for us. You'll see our smiling faces. And all the things, or most of the things that I mention, or Pete and I mention on air, I actually link there, so you've got the links ready to go. So I'll put that link up now. So it's the Central Coast Community Gardens Network. It's run by wonderful Tanya at Woy Woy Community Garden. And there, all the gardens put their information and news there, so you can find out. And you can just ask, where's my community garden? Go and have a look. The Morrisette Show, this is an important one for gardeners. It used to be on in February and it's moved to October this year. It'll be on the 16th and 17th of October. Everybody else will say, why are you talking about this now? But the gardeners know, because they have plants and vegetables and fruits that are judged. So you're going to have to plan those things differently this year. Obviously, your crops are going to be completely different. So those who are interested in entering the Morrisette Show this year, you're going to be looking at things that come into harvest in October, which will be really quite interesting. So get that ready. An upcycled terrarium workshop for children is being run by Central Coast Council, and it's on Monday, this coming Monday, from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. It's for children aged 7 to 14 years of age. It's at the entrance community hall at the entrance, but bookings are essential. Hop online to centralcoast.newsouthwales.gov.au. That's Central Coast website, Central Coast Council's website, and so you can book there. It looks so interesting, Pete. The kids are going to be making terrariums out of recycled containers.
Yeah, bottles and all kinds of bits and pieces.
I believe you need to take your own bottle or container, so have a look for those, something clear to take along. And I want to know about it. Send us at the Garden Gang on Facebook some pictures and we'll share them.
Good idea. Okay, news coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll continue with part 2 of our program and cover things like the local markets here on the Central Coast, and a few of those are certainly back in action from this weekend, and a whole bunch more, including, Darcy, this is our brand new 2-hour format, At Home with the Gardening Gang. We're looking at all sorts of activities here around the coast, and Sherilyn's going to now give us a bit of an inside word on the best plants to place this weekend, because it's been kind of wet, but now it's drying up a bit more sunshine. What do you think, Cheryl?
Just a little bit more sunshine, and there's a lot of things in January that we've got to do around the garden as well to start getting it tidied up, because winter's coming. We all know that when we're...
mention it. Really?
Sorry. But look, you've got to plan ahead when you're a gardener. That's the biggest mistake people make. They don't plan ahead. So what we've got to do right now is look after our roses. You need to deadhead those roses, give them a good feed with some nice well-rotted manure and potash. And, put your donut down. Don't eat while I'm talking about this. You might need to spray them with a bit of a rose mixture, something nice and organic. That would be really good. And that'll be nice to just get them all ready. It's also time to dig out your potatoes and probably your onions and garlic as well. I've just harvested my garlic and it is beautiful. So lovely. I'll bring you some in next week.
Wouldn't mind some samples.
Yeah, I've been too busy eating it. It's so sweet. Garlic's been good this year. Repot Cyclamens, they're a very popular plant that people give people. They look like little flat leaves that are close to the soil, and then they've got stalks that come up in very bright, hot pink, usually flowers. They need to be repotted quite regularly, so do that now. You might need to have a look at if you've got apple and pear trees, just to watch out for the apple moth that's around at the moment as well. Usually we'll be watering our lawns a lot, but we don't need to do that because it's been nice and wet lately. So
That's it. What?
it has. So our lawn should be like going gangbusters. Sorry, I had to throw that in. So what to plant right now? It's a really good time to plant crepe myrtle, also some of the smaller varieties of magnolia, jacaranda. I'm planting a jacaranda, as I said, for the swamp this week. Frangipani and olives go pretty well now. It might be a little wet for the olives. Maybe hold off for a little bit. So even though that's in little lists and things like that, you need to be sensible and have a look at the weather as well. You can put your lily pilly in now. Grevillea is a good one as well. And also planting things like hydrangeas, we mentioned earlier in the show, African daisies, salvia, strelitzias, and I'd probably there's a few palms you could put in at the moment as well. It could be a good time. When it comes to vegetables, we're still putting in beetroot. You can start putting in sometimes you can put a lot of the broccolis in all year round on the coast. So broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower can definitely go in. So can celery, and I'd be putting radish, silver beet, and getting a little bit more of the lettuce in as well as you can.
Must be a big garden at your place.
It is.
We're talking about hectares of work here.
You don't have to put all of them in, Pete. It's like any of the above.
I
That's
we're
all.
out the back of Burke with a big, broadacre farm.
If we're
or
at the
something.
back of Burke, we probably wouldn't be planting so many things. But anyway, so you can put all that in. You can still be putting silver beet in too. And don't forget the delphinium. So that's what you can do to get your hands dirty this weekend on the coast.
Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I'm going to say,
Exhausted
thank
now.
you so much indeed. Such a knowledgeable gal you are.
I love my
Now,
garden.
we're going to come back after this particular song coming up, which is always a beauty to play, and talk about where the markets are around the coast this week. It is At Home with Pete Little and Sherilyn Darcy, and we now turn our thoughts to markets around the coast because the COVID thing is sort of winding down. Well, it's not really winding down totally, but many of the events that were pulled last year are back in action. And you've got a list of those that have been prepared today by one of our new producers.
That's right. She's done a fantastic job here, and she's found all the things that are on. So let's go through that list. Remembering that all the events that you need to go on because you want to go to, because of the area that we're in, you've got to be COVID safe. So take a mask with you, follow the guidelines, the QR codes if you need to check in, and also social distancing, please, on all of these things. So the first is today. The entrance markets are on today between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. at Memorial Park. There'll be fresh produce, gourmet hot food, fashion and crafts. Support our local makers and craftsmen, artists and musicians at the Terrigal Beach markets. They're on today from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. on the foreshore of Terrigal Beach. And then moving on to tomorrow, the Davidson Waterfront Market is on between 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. on Sunday at the Allura Reserve. There'll be entertainment, shopping and street-style food. There's free parking at the end of Pine Avenue near the Pirate Park.
Arr, Davistown Pirates.
You bring your, Sorry. It's a registered COVID-safe event, so be sure to scan in on arrival. Gosford City Market, the Gosford City Farmers Market, is being held tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 12 noon at the showground. Chat to the farmers and check out the huge offering of fresh and organic fruit and vegetables. There's a wide array of goods, including sourdough or soda bread, local honey products, and much more. Grab a quick cup of coffee. Whoa, I've had too many today. While you're there. Tookley markets are on tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. in the Coles car park. Check out the plants. Yay! Organic fruit and veggies, bric-a-brac, and that's on every Sunday at Tookley.
I'll give you about 7 out of 10. We can do improvement on that, I think.
Do you like? Yeah, it's my first go at it.
And thank you to Doreen for preparing that.
Yes,
We might
thank
get
you so
Doreen to do
much.
that one day.
Yeah, maybe.
96.3.
It is At Home with the Gardening Gang, Pete Little and Sherilyn Darcy. Now we're going to be joined on the line this morning by the lovely Vicky at Narara Valley Nursery, because I thought of a new segment over the weekend, Sherilyn.
Did you?
In the old days of radio, they'd have a number of songs you'd play, and you'd say, what's hot and what's not, guys?
Oh,
Give us
yes,
a call.
I remember
so we're
that.
going to take it now to the streets and check out with Vicky what's hot and what's not at the nursery.
Yeah.
Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning, Pete. Good morning, Sherilyn.
Morning, Vicky.
Okay, what's hot in the garden?
Okay, I've got some exciting news because we just got a semi-trailer load of 50% off plants arrive at the nursery this morning.
What?
Yeah, that's okay. But for me, they're 75% off, aren't they? No.
Oh, no.
So it's a good time after all this rain to get your plants in because the ground's nice and soft.
Right. And what
We've
sort of
got some
plants have you
beautiful-
got?
We've got some beautiful tropical plants like Abyssinian Bananas. They're ornamental. They don't actually grow bananas, but they're great for foliage.
Right.
300 mil Strelitzia Nicolai, which is a giant bird of paradise. And can I just say, holy foliage, they are so beautiful. They were $120, now they're just down to $60.
Holy foliage!
Holy foliage! I love that. That's a holy foliage plant of the week. Oh, yeah.
Also, what's hot today is our potted colour. You get 5 pots for $10. Good idea in the summertime to plant your annuals in amongst your veggies to bring in the good insects and get out the bad insects.
Right.
Also, it attracts pollinators. So just for today, because you've added an extra hour onto your gardening show, we're going to add on an extra potted colour. So it's 6 for $10. Just need to mention the gardening gang when you check out.
What a deal. They'll be coming from all places on the coast here.
They will
at
be.
Narara Valley. Now, what's not hot at the moment?
What are people? What do you
What
think
are the
is
things that are
overlooked
just sitting on the shelf not being sold?
and not loved?
Anything?
That's a tough question. I haven't thought about this.
You can't tell me everything is selling equally.
No.
Probably must be an old dried up old sponge somewhere that's not selling.
No, but is there
I
something?
tell you what,
Yeah.
the wedding agents are selling off the shelves. I can tell you that much, and it's a good time to get your fork out and aerate your soil and get your fertilisers in there into your soil, into your gardens.
Yeah, it is a good idea with all the rain. But we were just sort of wondering, do you think there's a plant that's underrated? Like, do you when you're in the nursery, particularly at this week, say you think, why aren't people loving that plant? Like, why are they? Why do they overlook it and just go grab succulents or palms when there's a whatever there? Is there anything like that?
I've got a mental blank. I can't really think.
That's all right.
I think that's an unusual question,
Do you
Vicky.
think that?
Don't you think? I think she's really put it there.
I want you to look
because
out this
people have
week.
different tastes in
I
things in
suppose
life.
so. Yeah, I suppose
and
so.
you're going to have a couple of daggy things that'll sit there for a while. Then one day
they
the
just
sun
go.
will come out and it'll sell quickly.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
The Indian hawthorns are really good, hardy, unkillable plants that are often overlooked. If
There
you
you
want
go.
something for a coastal garden that can take, the strong coastal winds and the hot sun.
I think a lot of people don't know about them, Vicky. That's a thing with them. They don't know. They go for their viburnums and things like that. They don't actually think of the hawthorns. So that's a good one.
Well, that's an exciting new segment. What's hot and what's not in the garden?
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you, Vicky. Had a lovely time today. And don't forget, guys, if you go down there, get the extra potted colour just by mentioning the fabulous gardening gang. It's called, by the way, Vicky. It's the fabulous
At home with the fabulous.
Come down and pay Brad and I a compliment. We'll throw in another one as well.
My God,
that's
the
easy.
owner will go berserk. Okay, thank you, Vicky. Have a
Thanks,
great day,
Vicky.
darling.
Bye.
Thanks for the
Carolyn.
fun
Bye.
this morning.
Bye.
Yeah, she's a good toy. She's a good sort, that one.
Yep.
Now, here's a song, nothing to do with Vicky or Sherilyn.
Okay.
Here's one by Queen, the Gardening Gang, at home with Pete Little and Sherilyn Darcy. That's the name of our new 2-hour program, at home every Saturday morning, and being sponsored by Alan Graham's Caravans and RVs at Wyoming, along with Doormaster Security Doors and Windows at Berkeley Vale. Now, Sherilyn Darcy will answer the big question. I have one today. It was prompted by my wife, who said to me this morning, ask Sherilyn why or how we can avoid this build-up of yucky stuff from the high humidity this time of year.
Mould, mildew.
I wasn't going to mention it.
You didn't want to say it's a dirty word. It's a four-letter
call it
word.
yucky stuff.
The yucky stuff. It is. And the reason is because we've had so much rain, and it's almost like Melbourne weather, isn't it? Or tropical weather at times. It's full-on rain and then really hot sunbursts all the time. building up the humidity, and we're keeping our houses closed because we're worried about the next wave of storms. And this is the perfect environment for mold and mildew to grow in our houses and our homes and in things. It's horrible. So the big thing is circulation. It's very, very important. That's why if you go to far north Queensland, if you ever visit there, even if there's if you stay in a beautiful hotel room or somewhere like that, even though they've got air conditioning, you'll still find that they've got fans in all of those rooms, and that's to circulate the air, and that's what you need to do in your home. So getting a portable fan somewhere and putting it in the room, even if it starts to get a bit chilly, that's just getting the air moving, because mold and mildew find it hard to sort of take hold in those well-circulated places. The spores can't really travel through the air and settle down. What you need to do as well is make sure that things stay dry inside as well. So as soon as something feels damp or wet, or furniture, or, if you've got animals coming in and sitting on things, you need to dry those things as soon as possible. In the bathroom, make sure that your shower curtain is always pulled open to keep it dry. Wipe down the shower with a clean towel or use a squeegee after each use, or at least once a day. And vinegar is your friend. It really is. Watered down vinegar to wipe over surfaces. Test first. You don't want it too strong. So sort of a tenth is a good thing, or a cup of lemon juice and a cup of salt to about a bucket of hot water is another really good one to rinse things down with, and then rinse with water afterwards. It just kills those mold spurs off. That's what it will do. Make sure that your carpets stay nice and dry as well. A really good cleaner is to use a tablespoon of a laundry soap, a gentle one, with a couple of cups of cool water, and you can use that just to, if you see any mold or mildew spots, to put that over the area and lightly dab it with a cloth, and then make sure you dry it. Bring your fan in. That's what you need to do. It's, as I said, it's just getting rid of those things, and anything that you find that you cannot get rid of mold and mildew, any textiles that it's just not budging, you need to throw them away, I'm afraid to say, because
well, I thought you said vinegar is my friend. I'm not going to roll those clothes in vinegar, of course.
Well, yeah, no, of course, you've got to water it down, Pete, and also test. That's the thing. And the big thing about mold and mildew is, of course, it can be a potential health risk. You don't want to be breathing that in. So you need to get rid of things. And that's why I've said if things become infested with things, you might have to throw things out. These days, there's commercial companies that will remove bad infestations of mold and mildew. And there's also a lot of different products on the market as well. However, I would err to the more organic things, because they do work. That vinegar solution will work. And there's lots of different recipes. I'll put some up on our Facebook page right now for our listeners to have a look at and go through, and you can find the link quite easily from our website, which is coastfmgardeninggang.com.
Now, we've got one little bit of news now for grandparents who are looking for activities to keep the grandkiddies occupied during the holidays. Now, Sherilyn, you've been looking at this here from the Gosford, the Gosford Council. What am I saying? Wash my mouth out with soap and water. It's Central Coast Council website.
Yes, the Central Coast website. I did mention earlier in our gardening wrap-up about the Upcycle Terrarium workshop that's on, but also there is a dog toy making workshop on this Wednesday, January the 13th at Toukley, and this course teaches children aged 5 to 12 to be safe and responsible around dogs and how to care for them. This is a really good workshop. Children will be able to make their own toy dog to take home, or they can donate them. Find out more details on how to book this course and other events that are coming up on the Central Coast Council's webpage. You can just Google that, Central Coast Council. And guess what's coming up, Pete? I'm excited.
Oh, the night market.
Yes, the Aussie night markets are coming back. Gosford Twilight Race Day. These markets will be held this Friday, January the 15th, between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. There will be action-packed racing, international food and gourmet dessert stalls, yum, and trucks. Food and desserts open at 3 p.m.
I wonder if they've got nice gin and tonic down there. That'd be a nice place to go for the afternoon as the sun goes down.
Putting a little flower in my gin. I'm going to ask for it ahead of time, Pete.
Catch you there.